So this is not a case of you having a medical problem that you're taking drugs for. This is you taking drugs which require you to take other drugs.
And a guy who otherwise like had no idea what was going on, he mentioned how he was in like the 99th percentile for plaque buildup, and he's in his like early to mid 30s right now for his age bracket. That was like,
so he's talking about Antoine Valent. This is a pro bodybuilder. Did some score where he talks about he's in the 99th percentile for plaque buildup, which is pretty crazy and scary. Maybe we'll do a video on that guy.
and he's still going to continue bodybuilding, which is, you know, some people see as a very, very unwise decision. And hopefully he, you know, takes a very careful, balanced approach. I don't see how he's going to be able to continue at a high level personally. I think he can maintain, you know, like being in pro shows and like winning some shit. But I mean, like ultimately, if you're predisposed to this stuff, this is like, I don't think he can do it like safely at all, like, to be honest.
He's speaking the truth right there, right? He's saying, look, unless you're one of these genetic guys that your body just responds to this stuff and you don't have the side effect that we know of. Yeah, I mean, once you start getting signs, smoke, there's going to be fire. It's just a matter of time. So he's saying this gentleman who's massive, he's over 6 feet plus, off season's over 300 pounds, look like the Hulk, ginormous jack, super jack guy. He's saying he doesn't think this guy can do it safely. That's the key thing. Can you do this stuff safely?
This is something that he's going to have to be constantly on top of. And ultimately, if you notice something like that may be your sign that you're the genetically predisposed one who, you know, caught it in time. And he's an example, hopefully, of somebody who got ahead of it. You know, he could have got ahead of it much earlier though. And that's why it's not just about your blood tests, which again, most guys just aren't even getting blood work. It's about...
You heard what he said, right? It's not doing about your blood test. Because like I said earlier, blood test doesn't show everything. You can't take a blood test for a ruptured tendon. It's not going to catch everything. Or you'd have to do so many tests and know exactly what you're looking. Will insurance cover that? Why? Why would it cover all of that?
And it's shocking. Like even guys who I've audited their stuff at the Olympia level, very infrequent blood tests sometimes. Like they often, you know.
For those of you guys who don't know, the Olympia level, that's the Mr. Olympia, Miss Olympia level he's referring to. That's the highest level of bodybuilding, the highest level. So this guy is saying he's seen their stuff they're taking. So again, he's pretty well versed. And even he's saying that, listen, it's some serious stuff.
You preach this kind of stuff, but not everyone really like is as dialed in as, you know, they would even hope, or, you know, they portray in videos and whatnot. It's something that is very, very important if you're blasting, like a lot of times at all, to be fucking honest. Like this is something that you need to take seriously, and even baseline imaging, I think, would be warranted, to be honest. Like some individuals are just, you know, at a genetic predisposition from a structural aspect and like functional aspect whereby their organs may not be able to support any additional stress.
Here you said it again. You may just be a regular person, and whatever comes when you were born, that's what you got to work with. You took all this extra stuff, and your infrastructure is like if you take a regular car, and you put some super duper powerful engine in. Used to modify cars into drag racing, so I noticed if the suspension can't handle that, you're gonna break stuff. You break a gearbox. You know, you'll damage the car. Infrastructure needs to be there. The foundation needs to be there to handle this extra power. That's what these steroids are. Extra power, extra muscles. Your body have to be able to handle all that kind of stuff. Not just on the outside, your bones, your tendons, but also your internal organs. That's what he's talking about.
Whereby, you know, your heart function. Like, are you somebody who should be using anabolics if you have like a baseline fucking arrhythmia, or you have this, or you have that? Like, these are things that should be accounted for. It's not just your blood work. Does my RBC look in range? Does my liver enzymes look in range? Like, these things do not account for like structural abnormalities necessarily representing your blood work. So just because your biomarkers look good transiently when you come off for 4 weeks a year, like this is not an excuse to just blast your fucking face off, because there are individuals that are ending up dead or severely impaired, and some like with literal disabilities for lifelong. Because
I mean, think about that. Dead or severe physical disabilities. So again, you take this stuff, you look like some god or goddess. It's not limited to guys. Some ladies take this stuff as well.
Because of the lifestyle. And this is something that should be part of the lifestyle, is proactive stuff like this. Like, you watch this video or this video, the most protective drugs that prevent bodybuilders from dying. Talk about lipid management, modulation of blood pressure, direct inhibition of cardiac remodeling, practices you should avoid, like
Notice he's talking about taking drugs to counteract the other drugs. So this is not a case of you having a medical problem that you're taking drugs for. This is you taking drugs which require you to take other drugs. Not that you had a problem to take the first set of drugs, but what he's saying is that this is what you have to do, right? And this is what you should do if you do these things. You shouldn't just willy-nilly take these. But again, you got to think and say to yourself, if I'm taking this thing, it's going to make me look fantastic, but I got to take this other stuff. Maybe it's like he's saying, you're just not genetically cut out for for this stuff. Maybe you shouldn't take this stuff. It's like smoking. You don't smoke today and get lung cancer tomorrow. You take a while, and if that unfortunately happens to you, you're gonna regret it most likely. You're not gonna go, oh wow, everything is cool. It was cool back then when you were smoking, but I don't think you'll think it's cool if 10, 20 years from now you get lung cancer. This is some serious stuff. I know psychologically, like what's the reason somebody finds it difficult to work out or to eat right? Because it's hard to do that now, and you don't see the gains, the benefits until much further in the future. It's similar if you take steroids now, you get the gains sooner, and the potential bad effects you don't see till the future. Some unfortunate few come sooner rather than later. Somebody could start smoking and get cancer in a couple years or something. Another person could smoke for decades and be fine. You don't know. It's kind of like playing Russian roulette. Steroids actually called angiogenesis, meaning steroids can help the body to actually create new blood vessels, so they literally alter their vascular network. Wow, that stuff changes you. Yeah, changes the vascularity. I mean, some of these guys are incredibly vascular. And again, it's the body adapting for all this extra blood that's being pumped. Yeah, the human body is incredible. It's essentially adapting to a foreign substance if you think about it. Yeah, that's crazy. That's pretty wild.
You should avoid UGL gear if you can. Like a lot of people still use, UGL compounds because it's, cheaper, more cost effective. But it's like, carrier oil toxicity even is a huge.
He's talking UGL. I assume that means underground labs. He's talking about the quality. Because again, some of the problem with this stuff is you can't get this at a regular pharmacy. You can't buy it over the counter with a prescription. You don't know the quality of it. So some of the ladies can be particularly dangerous regarding their voice, because some of these things, they can permanently change the lady's voice. So it sounds deeper than my voice. So imagine going from your normal feminine voice to sounding like a dude.
Cause of high C-reactive protein levels and inflammation in the body. This is something that I think Steve from Vigorous Steve YouTube channel has been one of the most, shed the most light on. Like a lot of people don't realize like how toxic even the fucking thing your drug is in is for your body. So that's why, pharmaceutical grade is like, I
think about that. It's not only the drug, but it's the the delivery mechanism, let's say. So he's saying that's why you have pharmaceutical grade. Think about it, right? Again, remember some of this stuff, again, is designed for animals like horses, not humans. So the quality is different, like dog food. Dog food is not fit for human consumption. It's not like that, right? The dog, you just throw that stuff in the pan on the ground. If it drops on the ground, the dog still eats it. The dog is fine. If you do that stuff, you may get pretty sick.
Ideal and shit like that. Like there's a lot of stuff that goes overlooked, and it really needs to be taken seriously. And I think highlighting an obscure case, like I guess the fact that TikTok exists and puts on people who have really small followings and just like blows up their stuff if it's viral content, I guess in some ways it's good because it provides harm reduction for stuff like this. Like, would this guy's story have even gotten out otherwise if this video didn't blow up? Like,
no, probably wouldn't. So again, how many other guys like this have been existing for years? It's like he said earlier in the show, like, where are all the bodies, right? People always talk about it. Taking Tylenol or Advil is more dangerous. Statistically, yes. In terms of the volume, there were more deaths from Tylenol overdoses or Advil overdoses or what have you. It's kind of misleading, right? Because you don't know what's happening with these people. It's not publicized. They're not tracking this. He had a heart attack. It's not like he goes in some database and they're tracking heart attacks per year due to the performance enhancement. They're not doing that.
Maybe not even. Like when I checked, there was 2 articles online actually. When I double checked, I thought there was a bunch, but it turns out there's only 2. And that's after a fucking 71.5 million view video. And like, it's not like it's well known in the bodybuilding industry that this is going on. When Dallas McCarver passed, we were like, oh my fucking God, like a 26-year-old or whatever he was at the time. And a lot of people chalked it up to the dosages he was using, the size he was, the excessive growth hormone that he was probably using. But there are obscure outlier situations too with individuals like this, who he's still fucking massive by all accounts. But I mean, like there are outlier scenarios that you're not invincible. Everyone has some organ durability and propensity to, blood pressure modulation and even neurological issues like that come from anabolic steroid exposure. These things should all be considered and taken very seriously in a more balanced approach with the preventative kind of like, a strategy whereby you assess any genetic predispositions ahead of time and your baseline panels, especially like getting even a baseline blood test, like obviously a fucking no-brainer before you touch anything. Ideally imaging too. And being open to having a doctor who understands.
I mean, how many people are getting imaging of their internal organs? Is that even something insurance would cover? I'm going to assume not. What are you going to tell a doctor? I need to get my organs imaged because I plan to start taking steroids. Is that what you're going to tell them? How much does that stuff cost? Does anybody know? I got to assume without insurance, that stuff would be crazy expensive, right? But this is what he's saying is the safe way to do things. Not just get labs done with blood work, baseline stuff, but do that. And I'm sure he's not talking regular labs. We're talking some complicated labs. Again, is your insurance going to cover that? Probably not.
What kind of risks you're putting on yourself and is non-judgmental about things like ARBs, beta blockers, ezetimibe, you know, even fucking statins potentially might be necessary for some bodybuilders realistically. So that's it, man. Bit of a somber fucking video, but I feel it's a video worth making for sure. And I hope.
Not sure you guys caught that, but he's talking about using statins. Again, if you're young, 20s or 30s or 40s or whatever, and you're physically looking impressive, should you really need to be on statins? I mean, there's side effects to those things too, right? So you're taking stuff to counteract the side effects of the drugs, but statins have side effects, right? These things are not great. I mean, if you need them, but there's a reason they don't just pop them into you until you need them, because there's side effects of these things. The drugs to counteract the first set of drugs, you may need drugs for those too. It's a slippery slope, essentially. It's a slippery slope.
Hope that he continues to make recovery and, you know, they live a happy life, because this is really fucking sad to see.
Because you are determined to transform your body, you made it to the end of this video. To get more tips about how to look great and feel even better, check out one of these videos you see on the screen. I'm sure you'll enjoy them. So later's my massive. Me I go long now. For those who don't speak Jamaican patois, that's goodbye, my people.